Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Schmoes Show. I'm your host, the infamous Orion. And this is me remembering I had a fucking melodica in my office. How you doing, Kyril?
Doing all right.
Are you also a Schmo?
On the odd occasion.
Fantastic. Oh, fuck. I'm off coffee. Damn it. Put the melodica to the side, and then I went to grab my coffee, and it's gone. I'm so sad.
Coffee no longer has object permanence.
Really? Yeah. Do you drink coffee?
Oh no.
Then,
Only when it is literally free.
only when it's literally free?
Yeah. We had some at work from like like an automated machine type coffee that was free this week. So I made really shitty coffee mochas that I didn't have to pay for. And I was very glad that I didn't have to pay for them because they weren't great.
I should show you some good coffee. I've been, like, you're a chemist, and very
Right.
good, a very respectable one at that.
Mm-hmm.
My chemistry at the moment that I've been practicing is making good fucking coffee. And I find myself going back to CP Chem in high school every time I start making some good coffee, because it's fundamentally chemicals are chemicals, and
Mm-hmm.
you got to extract the caffeine out of the bean some way.
Yep.
Yeah. So as a chemist, really, I would think coffee would be your drink of choice.
I very much enjoy the smell of coffee. I just don't like the bitterness of it.
Well, that's because you haven't had good coffee. So let me give you a chemistry lesson, Mister Kyril.
I know how coffee chemistry works. I do know how it
The
goes.
bean was over extracted, and that's where you get the bitterness. It's about
Mhm.
timing. It's about knowing how thick your water is. Come on, man. Yes, I did
BRB
just mansplain my chemist friend. What?
gonna go put Jello in my coffee to make it extra thick.
Oh God. It's gonna be thick. It's gonna be terrible though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But coffee's fine. For me, I just am not super partial to hot beverages in general.
Oh, that's like my thing, dude. Like
Yeah.
hot beverages. I don't drink alcohol, so that's like my
Mm.
way of getting my body warm.
Mm.
So like instead of fucking with my cardiovascular system and like thinning out my blood, I'm
Mm-hmm.
all about getting that nice bean juice in me.
Mm-hmm. I'll say, speaking of alcohol, though, I
Yeah.
have tried over the last couple of weeks a new type of alcohol that I haven't had before. And it's been really interesting.
What is
And
it?
it's like Sicer.
Cicer?
It is mead that is not made with honey, made with other sweet juices instead.
That's
And
kind
it
of
has
cool.
really interesting like mouthfeel to it.
Hmm.
I had one that was made with like blueberries, and it had this really like almost like velvety mouthfeel to it. It's very weird, but kind of cool.
I like it.
Yeah, just fun. Fun to try new things.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's also Thanksgiving this week.
Yeah, Thanksgiving next week.
Gobble
I don't
gobble.
know. I don't know. Are we gonna do a Sunday show? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends.
Yeah, I'm expecting to be around on that day, but we'll see how it goes. There might be, we got Black Friday stuff coming up. That'll be a whole thing, and we'll just see how it goes.
What's your opinion on Black Friday shopping, Mister Kyril?
Entirely overrated. I'll say this:
Damn.
like Black Friday used to be kind of cool as a way to like wrap up Christmas presents and stuff. Like, oh, I need to get a couple things for family. I'll go pick up some shirts on sale or something like that.
Yeah.
But the types of sales that are available now and the easy availability of stuff the other 364 days of the year has made it pretty much irrelevant for me now. Where I'm just like, okay, the cost benefit of saving money in a store is completely negated by the time I'm going to lose when I can just click a button on my computer and buy the same shirt for $5 more.
You know, I'm kind of on your side with that one at the moment.
Yeah.
The only thing I really go to stores for now is for like
Mm-hmm.
stuff I don't trust buying online.
Sure.
Like I
That's
wouldn't.
fair.
I'm picky. I'm a picky
Mm-hmm.
musical motherfucker. I don't buy
Mm-hmm.
instruments online.
Yeah. I can
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, not expensive ones at least. Like I bought my melodica on. Well, actually, it was a Christmas present bought online. But
Mm-hmm.
I need to hold a guitar to make sure I can feel it and like
Yeah.
know it's going to be good.
Yeah. I guess I would say the only exception to the rule that I have is if you're planning on spending more than like $100 on a single item.
Mm, good call. Good
Because
call.
then it becomes kind of like an experience, right? It's part of the experience of getting to buy that thing, and it has, it makes that thing feel more sentimental, right?
Yeah,
Like going and getting like a new TV that's like half off or whatever on Black Friday. It's totally fine. That's a fun thing to go do. It makes sort of an event out of it.
what about Black Friday as a social event?
Mostly overrated,
Damn.
especially with how spread out it's been.
Okay.
When it's like all concentrated together and you line up with a bunch of other people, that had some charm to it, but both the amount of people that are going out to do Black Friday shopping and like it's kind of like any other like niche sort of thing, right? Once you get a lot of people doing it, it's no longer cutesy.
You're right. You're right.
You go to like a corn maze, and there's 10 people there, and it's like, yeah, okay, this is a fun time. We're all just out on a nice fall day. We're getting some cider. We're gonna go walk around in some corn and waste 2 hours.
Yeah,
There's 1,000 people there, and you just want to go home.
I agree with you. It's a lot like Hollywood reboots. You
Mm-hmm.
know, one reboot's fine, but then everybody
Yep.
starts doing reboots, and all of a sudden you don't even realize what you have originally seen.
Yep. Loses the charm.
It does. That being said, I will kill anybody I see out in Black Friday. It's like the purge.
It's the purge throwing elbows.
Damn, dude, yeah. I've taken a self defense course specifically for Black Friday. I said that as a joke, but that might be a legitimate business idea.
Yeah. Defensive cart driving.
Defensive cart driving. How do you make someone disarm the shirt you want to buy?
Speaking of disarming, though,
Oh,
we had some interesting news this week, and I wanted to go start off with this one because we're gonna start off strong here because I haven't told you a ton of details on this
yep.
with the forming schism in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Good old Pope Frankie Frank and the Texas boys are at a bit of an impasse.
Pope Filthy Francis. I'm sorry. I miss you, Filthy Frank. Go on.
But yeah, Pope Francis is, as Catholic popes go, extremely progressive.
Yeah, pretty chill, dude.
And yeah, a number of people in the Catholic Church don't like that. Particularly over the last like week and a half, he has given, I don't know quite how like the the theological structure of the Catholic Church works outside of like broad strokes. If they have like mandates or if it's written down or if it's more just like a vibe system where whatever the Pope says goes and they'll deal with the problems later. Um, but in two separate announcements the last couple of weeks,
Wait.
Francis, yeah,
Holy vibe check.
holy vibe check,
Go on.
holy vibe check. Trans people are now people. But that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
The Pope announced that people who are transgender can now be baptized in the Catholic Church so long as there's like a specific phrasing to it. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I have the wrong article pulled up right now because I have a couple. Uh, Where did it? Can be baptized in the Catholic Church as long as doing so does not cause scandal or confusion. His words.
What the fuck
But
does that mean?
who the fuck knows? In addition to that,
Yeah.
also announced in October that the church would be open to blessing same-sex couples, telling a group of cardinals, quote, "We cannot be judges who only deny, reject, and exclude."
Based as
And
fuck. Go on.
would you know, there's some people who don't like those opinions.
What are you gonna
And
do? It's the holy vibe check.
it is, and that is what makes it so funny. Where is this one? Somebody said, oh, okay, so let's not get too far ahead of myself here. In response to that, the bishop of a bishop in Texas, Joseph Strickland, who is critical and has been for some time of the Pope's leadership of the Catholic Church, continued to be publicly critical of these specific rulings by the Catholic Church. In response, the Vatican started an investigation into the now former Bishop Strickland's actions in order to see if, is he following, like falling in line with the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the whole point of being a bishop under the Pope, is that you carry out the will of God as it is spoken through the bishop, or sorry, through the Pope. And Joseph Strickland was not in favor of that, and as a result, was removed from his position as bishop.
So this Catholic bishop
Yes.
carrying what I will describe, for lack of a better term, as an evangelical opinion,
Yes.
um, still remained a Catholic bishop. Like, what the fuck? Like it.
For a while,
Yeah.
yes. So it came to a head back in September when the Vatican started their investigation into Bishop Strickland and offered him the opportunity then to resign. And in an open letter, he declined that opportunity, going as far as to then challenge the Pope to fire him, which the Pope then did.
Getting fired by the fucking Pope. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep.
Huh.
The Vatican said that the decision to fire him, quote, came after an apostolic visitation ordered by the Pope last June in the Diocese of Tyler. According to a Catholic media, the investigation also looked at the handling of financial affairs of that diocese.
Was he using the church for tax exemptions?
We'll never know, but we can pretty rightly assume.
That's like the only way any of that makes sense.
Yeah. That is possibly what sparked it off, but there has been very funny things that have come out as a result of this. The first that I thought was hilarious is that I am now aware of the presence of a group that is called the quote or the Coalition for Canceled Priests.
Oh, you know that is the most problematic motherfuckers on the planet. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
They held a conference earlier this year in order to support former Bishop Strickland during that investigation. As well, we have been having very, very funny uh, situations come up that proves how little Catholics, certain Catholics, understand their own religious organization. Because, I don't know how, the terminology, right, to accurately describe the actions of the Pope are. But if you're a Catholic, I would hope you would know what your own things are. And people are coming out and being very critical of the Pope. There's one that was going around where uh, somebody tweeted, like a Soviet era dictator and in a raw exercise of power without provision of law, Pope Francis has removed Joseph Strickland as Bishop of Tyler, Texas. And somebody responded, the Pope has right to exercise his power unhindered. He's a supreme legislature. They responded with, really? The Pope is a dictator who has the authority to exercise unlimited power without due process? and somebody added like a Twitter reader added context thing that just says yes and links to the Wikipedia page for the Pope.
I'm not even Catholic and I fucking know that.
Yeah, that's like the point of the Catholic Church and why Protestantism started in the first place. They disagreed with the idea of a single person being the mouthpiece of God that isn't, like sort of being Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. That's a criticism I have.
Yeah.
Luckily, Pope Francis has not been like feeding that criticism. And here you are.
Yeah.
God. You know, if it was like literally in favor of doing something else, like that isn't cool,
Mhm.
like they wouldn't bother with it. They would have been like, "Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah, greatest pope of all time."
I will say though, the really funny part for me, and this is where we get into like the whole schism versus anti-schism and like the possibility of there being an anti-pope all being extremely funny because it is the most like 2020s conservative way for them to possibly handle this. Where you have like the Catholic Church on one side, the Protestant Christians on the other, when this group of Catholics are just like, wait a minute, the Pope has unquestioned and absolute authority and no recourse for what he says? This is bullshit. And all the Protestants go, yes, it is. And then all those Catholics go, we're gonna make our own Pope.
Who would be their own pope? Would it be
That's a good question. I would not surprise if it's like literally Donald Trump.
I wanted to say that like when he eventually does go to jail and he can't run for president, like it's a good side hustle he could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. DeSantis actually, pretty low chances of becoming president himself. He could run for anti-pope.
Mm-hmm. Who was the last pope? Can they just dig that guy up and like Weekend at Bernie's it?
Fuck you. You caught me off guard with that one. I hate you.
Do they have? Oh, they do. Oh no, he's dead. No, no, he's not. Is he? His papacy ended in 20. He has to be dead. Yeah, yeah, he died in 2022.
Yeah, because we were making fun of
Okay.
him for that because he was kind
Yeah.
of a dirtbag.
Yeah. And I think that's an important piece to keep in mind, right? Is that while Francis seems like a chill dude, it is a marked departure from the prototypical Catholic clergy and papacy.
You know, if you take like all that love shit that they have in the Bible, and it's not even like a Catholic Bible, like it's just in the
Mhm.
Bible in general. Francis seems to preach that compared to like literally anyone
Yeah.
like previous popes. And then you have people who are like, "Oh my God, he's doing the shit. We don't want him doing the shit. Get a new pope." I'm just pointing out hypocrisy.
Hmm. Fun fact,
Yo,
Pope Francis started off his popely journey as the provincial superior of the Society of Jesus in Argentina.
I knew he
And I'll
was
be honest,
Argentinian.
yeah, yeah, born in Argentina,
Yeah,
Buenos Aires. But that is a badass title.
isn't it?
That's like Warhammer 40,000 levels to be the provincial superior.
Now all I can imagine is like Pope Francis on like one of those overly elaborate like Warhammer thrones.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens with this. Probably nothing, because that tends to be how most of these conservative criticisms go, where they get very angry and then forget about it in a few weeks. Um, but for the time being, it's quite funny. Highly recommend. There's a much longer thread of this from Tumblr that's been reposted to Reddit and Twitter talking about the anti-pope, and it's quite long, but it's very funny as people go through like the actual irony in great detail of the difference between, like what it makes sense to and what it doesn't make sense to criticize the Catholic Church for. So
You know
All
who we
right.
have really good anti-pope?
Who's that?
Some dude named Martin Luther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Where it'd be like Martin Luther on his tombstone. Don't make me the anti-pope. 300 years later, Martin Luther. Let's do it.
Well, like, oh god, Jordan Peterson would actually probably be up for the running.
I don't know how religious he is. That'd be
Oh,
interesting.
dude's super religious. Well, I don't believe he's.
Well,
I think he knows how to get the bag.
well, yeah, for sure. Not listed, obviously, on his Wikipedia page. He's definitely some amount of religious. I'm not sure what type.
Yeah.
He's also Canadian. Can you imagine having a Canadian pope?
By God, they said it could never happen.
It's an Air Bud situation. There's no rules against it.
I was watching the John Oliver report on Airbud the other day. God, what a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. In other news, this is a very quick one. The baseball team, the Braves, I believe
Okay.
it is,
Okay.
has a like farm league, minor league team that are were formerly the single A Rome Braves. They have now rebranded to the Rome Emperors.
That's a little on the
And
nose.
I would like to show you their logo.
Et tu, Brute? What the fuck?
It is an emperor penguin.
It's kind of adorable.
It's really good and kind of clever. It's a fun mix having, emperor penguin and Roman garb together that, is objectively silly, but in a fun way.
Oh, speaking of birds and objectively silly, did you
Mm.
hear John Oliver stole an election?
Mhm. Oh, yes, I did.
And New Zealand is pissed.
I don't get why. It's a good pick.
I mean, objectively, I think it taught me a lot about avians that I just never considered.
Yeah. What was the I can't remember the name of the bird that they picked.
Patekateke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good bird name.
Honestly, it's got like it's two syllables, one being repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
So instantly memorable,
Mm-hmm.
fun to roll off the tongue,
Mm-hmm.
and quite frankly, it makes me feel a little more educated saying it.
Yeah. It's also way better than the average bird name, where it's like usually just describing what the person sees, where it's like, yep, this is the red-winged shitface bird.
Notice its elaborate red plumage and the fact that it looks like it had too much to drink already.
This is the bastard bird. It tried to steal my sandwich 3 days in a row.
I like that.
So, do you want to go Elon Musk or Xi Jinping? I'll give you the option here.
You know, Elon's been too frequent in the news. Can we just
Mm-hmm.
come to him
Yeah.
later? Yeah.
Yeah, we can come back around to it. So, earlier this week, Xi Jinping was in San Francisco for a bit of a pretty large like dinner banquet kind of thing. And fun fact, Elon Musk was also there. Of
No
course he
fucking way.
was. Apparently, all of the Silicon Valley twats were lining up to get their shot to, get buddy buddy with the God Emperor of China, because they have like 1 billion people or something to sell products to, or something like that. I don't know.
How many people? Wait till India overtakes them in the world population and watch everybody start sucking India's duck. I'm dick.
Also, yes.
1.412 billion.
Yeah.
That's a
That's a lot of
lot.
people.
That's an old number too. That's 2021. Oh shit, India is actually rapidly approaching. Holy fuck.
Hmm. Yeah, it's getting very close, and it's going to be interesting to see how markets kind of shift as that happens.
I'm all for it.
So, notable takeaways, though, from Xi's visit, because Biden was there, of course, as well. So, there's good old international diplomacy going on. And apparently, a significant part of the visit was to talk about crackdowns on fentanyl exports coming from China into the United States, which is a pretty big deal.
My, the
Um,
tables have turned. The drugs are now leaving China.
you know, I mean, fentanyl is the kind of thing, it's remarkable, right? We've like officially found the point of knowing how bad something has to get before everybody just kind of collectively agrees that the money's not worth it.
Yeah.
Where the fentanyl problems that have been going on globally have gotten to the degree that both the Chinese government and the cartels are in agreement to try to do things to crack down on it because it is so detrimental to everybody involved with the process.
Fair enough. So you're saying if I hoard my fentanyl now, I can sell it at an increased cost later.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. To all our FBI listeners and CIA listeners, I do not have any fentanyl. Please don't come over to my apartment. I'm actually just a silly boy.
Yeah, just a silly goose.
I'm just a silly goose. Take me off the international watch list.
I'm selling fentanyl in Minecraft. In
It's
Minecraft.
Minecraft. I saw a meme. It was like, you know, the staring Biden eagle.
Yeah.
It was saying like the FBI watching as I type in the most elaborate domestic terror plot with tons of descriptors, and then finishing it off with in Minecraft. Yeah, but what else? What else happened with this Gigi guy coming over?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some of the more like nitty gritty details of it, but one of the more headline grabbing ones was that in a press conference following their meeting, Biden referred to Xi Jinping as a dictator openly, and it was not met with sort of any response at all, where the Chinese government has just kind of ignored it, and the US media has just been kind of like, oh shit, he really just did that. Nothing happened.
Okay, so we talked about this a little bit before the whole show.
Hmm.
In your opinion, do you think that was a slip of the tongue from Biden, or do you think he actually did that as like a power move?
I don't know. It's hard to say, right?
Yeah.
Because the Biden administration in general has been much more measured than I think anybody would have expected them to at the start of his term. Um, and surprisingly more impactful as well. You tend to have this trend of the presidencies where I guess largely because historically you're basically guaranteed to two terms back to back. During the first term, the president would do lots of uh, publicly visible but ultimately less impactful things
Yeah.
that would be, important, but not necessarily, avoiding anything that would possibly harm their chances for reelection, right? And Biden seems to be shirking that pretty entirely and just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do to get his job done.
Biden's such a weird president.
Yeah,
Like, again, the whole narrative of Sleepy Joe is just not accurate. It's amazing sometimes.
it is.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable what his administration's able to just kind of do just like quietly from behind the scenes.
And that's not a compliment,
And
by the way. That's like just me being kind of scared of Biden.
no, it's just the fact of it.
Yeah.
He is far and away beaten any expectations for what people have for his administration.
Honestly, I think he kind of gets off on the Sleepy Joe narrative because it just means he can do more stuff behind the scenes without people really paying much
Yeah.
attention. Yeah.
All he has to do is trip down some stairs every once in a while and he can go send $5 billion to Israel with the drop of a hat.
Yeah, like no one cares because everybody thinks he's like this little silly old man, but he's also
Yeah.
just like, nah, Jack, I'm spending all your money on war crimes, Jack.
Hmm.
He's going to be like, you know how people are very optimistic about Reagan, and then like years later, after like
Mm.
his administration was over, everybody realized how fucked it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like we're going to have that about the Biden administration.
Yeah. It's going to have some long lasting impacts for sure. Partly because, we saw this with Trump, where the Republican controlled Senate during the end of Obama's term stonewalled judge nominations
Yeah,
until Trump became president, and then they rapid fired through them as quickly as they could. That has now flipped around, and the Democrats have started to push through even more judge appointmentships than happened during Trump's administration. And it's not quite the same distribution in terms of like tier, but these are people being put into still very significant periods, possibly for the rest of their lives.
yeah.
Um, and it's little things like that that the average person, pretty rightfully, doesn't really pay attention to, that are happening day in and day out.
Have you seen that TikTok of the fucking cat, dude?
Which one? No, not by from that alone.
And that's the joke. I'm just implying that it's
Oh,
easier to consume that.
right.
Yeah, the fact that I'm trying to make a joke that it's so generic, but it's easy to consume at the idea.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. I'm trying to find like some highlights of it because I know they talked, of course, about the ongoing warfare both in Ukraine and Israel slash Gaza. Um, and in a bit of an interesting thing, Xi has apparently made some pretty overt statements, or at least his government has, to being in favor of working to negotiate for, amicable ends to those conflicts because
it's bad for
I
business.
guess it's bad for business. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so that's sort of an interesting place where the U.S. and Chinese government can come together and just be like, yeah, we don't want this to continue.
don't
So
worry,
that was a
guys.
piece they were talked about.
The dynamic duo of Biden and Xi are going to go bring peace to the Middle East. Be right back.
Hmm.
God, do you think we will ever see peace in the Middle East in our lifetime, Mr. Cairo?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
We have, unfortunately, every other lifetime before ours to use as a point of reference.
People we were talking about this a little bit because like I like to call it like pop politics now,
Yeah.
where like there's something in the news, agenda setting makes it
Hmm.
important, and people start talking about it,
Yeah.
and like it's kind of weird to like know about the Middle East situation before it became pop politics, and now
Hmm.
people are very strongly like, oh no, there's one definitive good side in this.
Yeah.
Um,
When there's not.
no, they're both kind of just,
Yeah.
please just stop.
Hamas is a terrorist organization. That's a bad thing.
Yeah,
The Israeli government is a hawkish, far right coalition that has had members overtly call for a racial cleansing of the Gaza region. That is also bad. Both of those things can be bad at the same time.
the only people who are truly victims and all that are the citizens who are stuck behind these
Yeah,
governments. Yeah,
it's very fucked.
absolutely.
And I think that's largely why we haven't been talking about it compared to how we did of Ukraine, where there's like, in Ukraine, there's a very obvious right and wrong position of Russia encroaching into Ukraine's established borders.
Yeah.
That kind of parallel doesn't exist nearly to the same degree in the situation of Palestine and Israel, where these borders have been changing pretty constantly for the last 70 years as the Palestinians have committed, not the Palestinians, but the various terrorist organizations representing the Palestinians over the years have committed acts of violence against the Israeli people. And as Israeli settlers have slapped right back and outright stolen land from the Palestinians who used to live there.
And all this to say that it's going to go on for another
Yeah.
100 years, and then another 100 years after that. And quite frankly, every time white people interfere or get involved, it just gets worse.
Checking right now. Figure out when did people first settle in the Middle East? So 3,500 BC. And ever since then, there has been conflict.
You know what? Actually, scratch that. It's about 4,000 years of conflict right there. You cannot tell me they weren't already picking fights over there
Yeah.
before the people settled.
Yeah, it's been ongoing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has been kept aflame by Western influence destabilizing the religion time after time over the last couple hundred years. But it is very important to know how these conflicts between some of these nations like predate Western influence being a thing at all.
It predates, like, just the West in
Yeah,
Western culture in general.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
There's an argument that it's actually influenced us more than we, influenced
Pro-
it.
Probably.
Yeah.
So,
But
and I
don't
guess that's a
worry.
good
Yeah.
a good as point as any to jump into talking about Elon Musk and his latest stupidity.
A white guy talking about the Middle East, what can go wrong?
Yeah. So, earlier this week, Elon Musk tweeted in response to a right wing Jewish media person, I believe. I have heard varying descriptions of this individual's actual position, but they tweeted in support of uh, what is a pretty widely regarded anti Semitic conspiracy theory. The idea being that Jewish people are trying to bring, it's the great replacement kind of stuff.
I
And
thought it was. I
it's not
remember.
the first time Elon has tweeted in support of it.
Yeah.
But the general idea is that with the great replacement in general is not exclusively anti-Semitic. It is, anti pick a minority group and still vaguely racist at every level. But in this specific instance, it is in an anti-Semitic context of Jewish people moving from the Middle East or other regions into white communities to push the white people out.
It's always so interesting to me for people to like get into that theory because
Yeah,
it's a racist wet dream most of the time.
absolutely.
And I think it's really supported by just economic standings in the fucking US
Hmm.
where a lot of like the middle class is no longer predominantly white. And that's a good thing, by the way, because we don't want the lower classes to also be, racially selected, even though they kind of
Hmm.
are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's an important aside is that even though the middle class is less white, it is still disproportionately white.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you see like all these like middle class people coming from their point of, for lack of a better word, privilege. See like a lot of minorities go into like rise up in the ladder because education's quite a good thing. That's why Republicans are trying to get rid of it. Well, why
Hmm.
it's not just Republicans, but it's why they're trying the upper classes are trying to get rid of it. Um, and ultimately it just fuels that narrative, so it just takes a little spark of racism and it just keeps growing like a big fire.
Hmm. Something else to keep in mind
Yo,
is that as Elon has taken over Twitter, there has been a rise in right wing content going unmoderated in general.
I haven't
Um,
noticed. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
where did you get
who
that
could have
idea?
known? Well, from the Media Matters organization that put out a article this week at about the same time, saying that describing the risk for advertisers of I guess the increased risk of their advertisements being shown next to pro-Nazi content.
Go on, please.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah.
They included a number of examples of that happening, showing overt pro-Nazi content being shown side by side with these advertisers' um, ads, I guess, notably including Apple, Bravo, Oracle, Xfinity, and IBM were the ones that they pointed out as part of their investigation here, as well as talking about Twitter's failures to effectively moderate that sort of content. In combination with Elon Musk's "You have said the actual truth" in comment this week, a number of advertisers have started to suspend their advertisements on Twitter for the foreseeable future. And we get to play a little bit of a who's who of people stepping out of their advertisements because initially, Apple and IBM were the big ones.
Okay.
They were both implicated in that Media Matters article where they were shown their advertisements being displayed next to anti Semitic and pro Nazi content. And in response, IBM issued a statement saying that they have zero tolerance for hate speech and discrimination, and we have immediately suspended all advertising on X while we investigate this entirely unacceptable situation.
I
And
mean,
Apple,
fuck
yeah,
around, find out.
yep,
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Apple issued a similar statement and pulled their content. Apparently, Apple accounts for nearly $100 million of X's advertising sales per year
What?
and rank in like the top 10% or something like that of total advertisement sales, with that number going way up depending on, excuse me, depending on region.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah. So that's a huge advertiser. And then to add on to that pile, Disney and Lionsgate have also announced that they will be suspending their advertisement on the platform as well.
As they should.
Lionsgate, of course, being one of the major film production companies and advertising arms for that. In less, scale, there's also been substantial talk amongst Jewish Tesla owners about no longer driving a Tesla, especially as both Rivian and Lucid are set to release new fully electric SUVs over the next year, 2024. Um, for a lot of them, including notably investment advisor Ross Gerber, who's apparently someone with pretty substantial sway amongst those circles, this is sort of the last straw for them, and they'll no longer be driving a Tesla in the next year.
Good.
Mhm.
The kind of shit cars.
Yep.
Every time I see a Tesla on the road, I think about how I could ruin that whole like life of that person if I accidentally hit it, and then they have to buy the new parts, and then their insurance rates, which are already pretty high for a Tesla, by the way, also
Hmm.
go up. So really, Kyril, I like to think you and I are educated people. We're pretty smart dudes.
Yep.
We should figure out what's Elon's grand tapestry and how he wins in this situation.
He doesn't. I mean, this is for me. This is like the best example of it being like the best way to make, or what is it? The best way, the fastest way to be worth $1 million is to start with two.
That's really good. I like
Where
that.
someone like Elon has so much accrued wealth already derived from his family's wealth before him that if he wants to, he can just continue to take losses on something like Twitter because it is for him what Truth Social is for Trump, right?
Yeah.
It gives him a platform where he has carte blanche control over anything that he wants. And what he says will ultimately be what goes.
William Randolph
And for
Hearst.
him,
Yeah.
that might be enough.
So sad.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with the launch of the Tesla Cybertruck later this month, where we had the piece that, I don't know, maybe it came out during this week, but the Cybertruck had a clause in its purchase agreement that you could not resell it for the first within the first year of ownership without first contacting Tesla and offering to sell it back to them first, with the alleged reason being to prevent scalpers.
How are you going to scalp a fucking car? Scalping a car has got to be the one of the dumbest things I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, that's a good question.
Because you have to get registration for that vehicle, you got to get insurance for that vehicle, and
I will
that's,
say though,
yeah,
people have been doing it.
they have?
Where there are certain vehicles that are in such short supply, particularly electric vehicles, that they can be, even after registration, insurance, and all of that, they can just be turned immediately, assuming you're able to purchase one at anything close to sticker, immediately sold for tens of thousands of dollars in profit.
Damn, dude.
Toyotas are especially notorious for that, where if you want to order like a Prius Prime, it's like a 3 year wait list.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. It is still very stupid, though.
It just seems like a lot of risk for, well, I'm sure it's a good payout, but
Hmm.
I don't want to have that associated with me.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
It's an extreme amount of risk. Especially when it gets to the point like with some of the Toyotas where it's like, okay, you're spending $100,000 on a Toyota. Why? If you're spending $100,000 on a car, why are you buying a Toyota for that money?
Because my wife left me.
You want to talk some movies?
I would love to talk some movies right now.
I wish I had better ones to talk about, but there's movies.
What? There was a new Marvel movie. Let's go back to 2018 where we all loved Marvel.
Yeah. Two animated releases this week.
Okay.
One is I'm trying to I guess it's a Netflix movie, so that's probably why. And it's not fully out yet. Releases on Tuesday. Weird release date, but I guess Thanksgiving. Leo with Adam Sandler and Bill Burr.
Please tell me it's a Leonardo DiCaprio biopic and they just got Adam Sandler to play Leo.
No. It is an animated musical comedy about the last year of elementary school as seen through the eyes of a class pet, the 74-year-old lizard Leo, who has been stuck in the same Florida classroom for decades with his terrarium mate, Turtle, played by Bill Burr.
I liked my version better.
When he learns he only has 1 year left to live, he plans to to experience life on the outside, but instead gets caught up in the problems of his anxious students, including an impossibly mean substitute teacher. So yeah,
Eh?
Adam Sandler has had a bit of a rough streak over the last couple of years.
Adam Sandler, his whole career is a little bit of a rough streak.
Well, I mean, you go far enough back, you get some bangers. But yeah, you got to go pretty far back.
Who animated this? It's a Happy Madison movie. What the fuck?
Fun fact, he went 6 years straight in the early 2000s without a single one of his films getting an above 50% positive review
I'm not surprised.
over a 10-year period from where was that? 2007 until 2017, he had two films out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 have a more positive than negative review score.
Hooey.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he look like Adam Sandler? How did they get a lizard to look
Yeah,
like fucking Adam Sandler?
he does. It's a bit disturbing.
And it looks like it's trying so hard to be Disney animation.
Yeah. Who is it animated by? It doesn't say.
I'm
Oh, Happy
Yeah, Happy
Madison.
Madison
Yeah,
somehow did it.
yeah. I'm sure it'll be one of the animated films of all time. Maybe even the year.
Oh fuck! You know what comes out in a few days?
What's that?
The new Disney.
What do you mean?
There's a Disney movie coming out on November 22nd.
What's there?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It is called Wish.
Oh, I vaguely think I've heard of this.
I thought it was coming out next week.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing some of these stills.
Yeah.
Visually looks interesting at least.
Have you seen the animation move?
Nope.
There's something weird with the lighting engine on this movie. I don't know what it is. I'm sure when
Hmm.
you watch the movie in motion for a little bit, it goes away. But like the lighting looks a little strange. I don't know how to describe it. It's like too soft. There's no hard shadows.
Oh yeah. Looks very flat.
Yeah, that's it. It's very flat, shallow lighting. I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about that.
It's definitely, from what I'm seeing, it looks definitely tied into the backgrounds where they are exceptionally static.
Like I understand the idea of this movie is it's like a picture book almost,
Yeah.
which I kind of fuck with.
Yeah.
However,
The animation needs to be at a lower frame rate though.
what would that say if Disney did the lower frame rate Spider Verse style?
Right, it should be. Maybe even lower than that.
I agree
But
with you. It looks it'd be
maybe
cool.
maybe it would turn out that way in theaters and they've just smoothed the shit out of it for like trailers.
I heard a conspiracy theory the music in this movie was written by an AI.
Weird.
Would you like to see the villain song that they released for it?
Sure.
Okay, one moment, sir, while I go get.
Why not?
I apologize ahead of time.
Also releasing this week while we get that pulled up.
Yeah,
Uh Trolls 3? 4?
trolls too many.
Yeah. Oh, it's Chris Pine.
Yes,
Why? That's kind of a weird choice to not make him look nearly like Chris Pine. Okay, this is horrible.
I like that you're only like 10 seconds into it and you're already like, no. Can we do a little lyrical dive into this as well?
The song?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I do kind of believe there may be an AI involved in this song. So, first, we got to talk about who produced it, right? Benjamin Rice, Julia Michaels, and Disney are listed as the producers of this piece.
Just Disney.
Just Disney.
Oh.
Some cases, it's Walt Disney listed as like the producer. Now, here's the fucked up part, right?
Yeah.
I have never seen anybody in all the research I've done on this song, which admittedly kind of shallow research, get
Yeah.
credited as a writer.
Have you read the comments on this?
No.
So they're pretty great. We'll get to them in a sec, but there's some great comments on this video.
So, for all of you at home, here's a dramatic reading of the lyrics of This Is the Thanks I Get.
Yeah.
I can't help it if mirrors love my face. It's genetics. Yeah, I got these genes from outer space. Peep the name, I'm magnificent. I put the I in omnipotent. I'm passionate, I'm not petulant. Someone praise me for my benevolence. Ugh, just look, haha. I give the clothes off Benito's back. If you really needed that, I'll be the first one to volunteer Henry if your home were to crumble, or if you were in trouble. I'll let you live here for free. I don't even charge you rent. I clean up all your messes, and I'm always there when you need to vent. I give and give and give and give. You think that be content? They'd all be content, and all I want is just a little respect. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. You're so brilliant. Ah, that's the least you could say. There's more, I admit. You're cute and strong and bold and brave. Thanks. See this kingdom? I built it up. And you still complain? Ungrateful much. Are you sure that you're not the prob? I love to see you try and do my job. Oh ho. I granted 14 wishes last year. Come on, that's a high percent. And now you're questioning your king? The disrespect I just underwent. You know, I always got your back. Yeah, really though, it's no sweat. Since the day you were born and the day that we met. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. I don't want to do this. I swear I never do this. But I'm hypnotized by these pages flip because I refuse to have my power stripped. A potion, a spell, a summon, a curse. Anything to make that light reverse. To this book, I don't want to be tethered, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Brr. Where was I? Oh, yeah. End of song. Wait, there's more? No. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think we've got the gist.
Okay, so here's my argument here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say the lyrically alone, this is a failure. But I've been listening to a couple of the other ones that they've released from it so far, and there are far deeper problems than just the lyrics with the soundtrack.
I've only heard this one. I am going to be forced to watch this with my girlfriend. She is super excited for this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be a fun night, I'm sure. Here's my big red flag with this song that really kind of pisses me off. Pre-chorus 1. I let you live here for free. I don't even charge you rent.
Yep.
That's fucking
Horrible
redundant.
Horrible line.
I clean up all your messes and I'm always there when you need to vent. That is literally just there to rhyme with rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need those 4 lines. I give and give and give and give. That's redundant as well. Shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah. And you think you'd be all content, which again is just there to rhyme with rent and vent. And all I want is just a little respect. I'm convinced if an AI did not write this, then the writer is very ashamed of of writing this, and quite frankly is just trying to hide, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Here's my take.
yo,
I think personally that this is a problem at a much higher level than any individual writer, where it seems like there is a generally unfocused direction for the tone and sense of place that they wanted this film to have.
well, did you know this film was almost going to be 2D animated?
It probably should have been.
I agree. This art
But
style,
I mean it like a
perfect.
story level,
yeah.
where they have scattered throughout these songs. I wouldn't be surprised, put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if they had these songs and the broad strokes of the story set up, and then they decided that it was going to be set in like a medieval, time period, like Sleeping Beauty-esque.
Okay, yeah.
Because there is so much language used in the songs, and they are written in a way that is very evocative of modern styles, where there's in the other one, at least, with the cast I'm a star, or whatever the fuck, I don't even know which, it says wish hyphen cast hyphen I'm a star. I don't know which one of those is the title. Maybe it's all 3, who knows. But it's very similar in terms of the instrumentation. in not a good way, in a way that's like dissonant from the visuals and the common location wise that it shares with other Disney and just, historical pieces.
So
It feels like a song from another movie.
here's my thing. One, they sound like they're trying to rip off Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is very odd considering, I'm pretty sure he would write the music because he wrote Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
Um, However, I don't understand the instrumentation going on here. It's rhythmic, sure, that's cool.
Yeah.
However, I feel like it's empty in a way too because there's
Yes.
something missing and I can't find what.
Yeah. It's light on percussion for one.
Yeah, like
It is to me the difference between having an orchestra and a band playing. Where
yeah,
both can be good for different things, but if I'm watching a Disney movie, I have the expectation that it's going to be backed by a full orchestra, not a guitar.
yeah, yeah.
And it feels empty. It feels like something is missing.
It's very strange. Like I kind of want to take this song and run it through like an EQ to see if, like it's missing some frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't fully understand how does a song like this feel overproduced and underwritten at the same time? Empty even.
Mm-hmm. It feels very vapid.
Yeah, yeah. It feels superfluous. Like
Yeah. Another a part of it that I'd have to go back and listen to more Disney songs, and I'm not going to do that to like actually support this argument.
yeah.
But there's in terms of the writing for the songs that to me hints at them being maybe uh originally intended for a different setting is the language used in them, where they rhyme vent and rent. In the other one, they talk about something being microscopic, right? Those are like literally terms that would not have existed in the time period that this movie is taking place in, and it doesn't make sense for them to be there.
So, my friend, I did a little work into finding out who these producers are.
Mm-hmm.
Two main producers, Benjamin Rice and Julia Michaels. They this is just for the things I get. I'm assuming they're probably all over this movie because
Sure.
that's typically how Disney works. So Julia is a little interesting. She has done one movie. Would you care to guess what the movie is?
What is it? Trolls? I have no idea.
50 Shades of Grey 3.
Great.
At least this is what I'm seeing here. It looks like she also.
Let's see. I think I have Julia Michaels says.
Yeah, I'm on her Genius right now, so.
Um, filmography is credited as what's her discography? So she has her own discography, plenty of awards and nominations for her own stuff.
Cool. I respect that.
Opening act for tons of other musicians. Clearly has her own fans and stuff going on here. She worked in film as an advisor for Team Adam Levine on The Voice. Was a collaborative guest performer on American Idol in 2019.
How did she go from reality shows to a Disney movie?
I guess it's just because of her own work as a musician before then.
Fair enough. I can respect that. Now,
She's had singles. That doesn't really make sense. She had first album released looks like in 2010.
okay.
So
So
yeah, still kind of weird.
very strange. Benjamin Rice, number 2.
Yeah,
I
didn't
saved
see
him
it.
for last for a very good reason.
Yeah.
He has done a movie before as well. Would you
Okay.
care to guess
is.
the movie?
No idea. Doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
A Star is Born.
Interesting.
And you want to know what he wrote for that movie?
What's that?
Fucking Shallow.
Really?
Yes.
So he did one thing and then he got brought up by Disney.
I mean, Shallow is kind of a good song. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it is.
I don't
I mean,
like
it's,
it.
it's very good.
It's not my
I would say.
favorite, but it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the context of what it released with, it is very fitting.
Yeah. I would say, having seen A Star is Born,
Hmm.
that movie would not work without Shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that regard, it's very impressive. So, I need to find out how much he
Interesting.
contributed.
You know something interesting?
Yeah, go on.
Almost all of the music for Wish is credited either to cast of the movie or Michaels or Rice for performances. I think that is a large part of why it feels like there is so much missing because it is being recorded with a very small crew by all accounts it seems.
I mean, small crews can work, but I do agree with you. It's strange.
Yeah. Like for This Is the Thanks I Get, it is credited as having been written by Michaels and Rice and performed by Pine with Michaels and Rice. And that's it. And maybe there's people that are just not being credited on this page, but from what you hear, that's kind of what it sounds like, where it's very bare bones.
It's so weird this is even a thing because, like, you pull up Shallow. I'm looking at the
Yeah.
Shallow Wikipedia page. Anybody who even breathed on this song is credited. Had fucking Mark Ronson on it. And then you look at it and it's like the guy who produced it with Gaga, Benjamin Rice, doesn't even have a blue highlight. He's the only one in the whole like production team without a blue highlight.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
Here's a fun fact that I didn't realize. Wish has already had its red carpet.
I heard. I
So it
wasn't aware of
has
how it went though.
more than 50 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes already. Almost all from like top critic types. And it's at a 58%.
Oof. Oof.
On the Wikipedia page detailing its release, Wish had its world premiere on November 8th, 2023, just hours after the end of the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike was announced for 12:01 a.m. the next day. Uh, what is it? With Chris Buck, Fawn, Vera Sunthorn, Jennifer Lee, Disney CEO Bob Iger in attendance, and Asha, Mickey Mouse, and Minnie Mouse walking the blue carpet in the cast's place. Because they were, of course, on strike.
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. When was this one?
Wait,
On
Julie.
February 16, 2023, following the commercial failures of the company's Strange World and Pixar's Lightyear, both in 2022, Disney reportedly considered extending the theatrical windows for both Wish and Pixar's Elemental in hopes of bringing families back to theaters.
That
I guess
doesn't
they made the
sound right.
right choice to not do that.
Yeah. I'm on Julia Michaels' webpage. I'm trying to see what I can find about her history. Well, she seems to like to do her own stuff more, which I guess that's fair. Apparently, she's written stuff with Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. The pop music monster scares me.
Here's what I don't get.
Yo,
They apparently had one of the songs from the film already nominated for and lost the award for an original song animated film at the
for
Hollywood Music and Media Awards.
did they do private screenings?
I don't know. It's not out yet. I guess because they released the song by a certain time, that counts, but that's seems like a weird metric for it to go by.
That is really weird. Julia Michaels was announced to write lyrics and partial music to original songs for Wish at the D23 Expo at September 2022. By April
Mm.
2023, Dave Metzger was confirmed to compose the film score, while Benjamin Rice joined Michaels to write songs by contributing additional music. Huh.
It'd be interesting to see what the score ends up being in comparison to the songs, because the instrumentation in the songs themselves does not, at first listen, seem like the kind of thing that will lend itself well to being pulled out into a full score.
I mean, in my opinion, when you do like film scoring and songwriting are two different beasts entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't fault
For
them
sure.
for getting a different composer for the score versus the
Oh,
songs. Yeah.
absolutely. I just more mean that as hollow as the songs sounded, if that extends into the score, that will be unfortunate.
I, I doubt it a little bit, but
I hope so.
yeah.
I hope it's not the case.
I think film scoring is actually pretty easy to do standard like not standard quality on cuz like most people aren't going to pay too much attention to the score
Mm-hmm.
unless you're John Williams.
Yep. Well, the last film that I have to be discussed is The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Did you like The Hunger
Because
Games?
I have to think now. I read some, but not all of the books.
Okay.
And what I read of the books, I enjoyed. And watching I haven't seen, I don't think, all of the films, but from what I remember, the first one or two that I saw, the first one I thought was good and was good to the books. The second one was fine, and then the third one felt like it just really badly deviated and didn't measure up nearly as well to me.
Okay.
That's what I remember, but it has been probably like 8 years, I think, since I've like given it much critical thought. That said, though, for this one, I am pretty high on some of their cast choices, and it makes me very curious to see what they do with it, because it seems like the kind of thing that would have a lot of potential, but also a lot of opportunities to miss pretty badly.
Okay. I've never gotten into The Hunger Games. I saw the
Yeah.
first one in theaters. I was aware of the books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an illiterate motherfucker. I kid. I read a lot of fucking books,
Yeah.
but they could not keep my attention.
They are very much young adult fiction.
Yeah.
And that is either going to be something that somebody likes or very much doesn't like, because it's got a particular writing style that goes along with it, for better or worse. So overall, I would say I am more positive than negative on the franchise as a whole.
Okay.
And I'll probably see this not in theaters, but at some point. You know, the Hunger Games as like a concept has not particularly new, but well executed science fiction tropes. And it plays around with them in some fun ways. And that's part of where the problem with it comes in, is that, you know, it's like The Purge, right? It's like, okay, this is a good idea. I enjoyed this. I watched seeing you explore this idea. And then they do it 5 more times.
See, that's my thing with it as well.
Yeah.
It strikes me as baby's first government dystopia kind of
Very
vibes.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I think, and this is a problem with me as an individual, I've read
Mm-hmm.
1984 now as an
Sure.
adult. So, like, I look at the Hunger Games and nothing about it seems too appealing,
Yeah.
only because I felt like my own reaction to that whole idea of a story
Mm-hmm.
has been killed by a book that, quite frankly, does it very fucking hard.
This is the 1984 of young adult novels.
It pretty much is, isn't it?
But no, I meant that in like the meme way, but it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
And that's kind of the point of them being geared towards that like 12 to 20 age bracket, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's able, if it's done well, at least, it's able to take those concepts and make them more approachable by adding in themes like, light romance and, teen problems in general to make the characters become more relatable and to contextualize the hardships that they are experiencing.
Yeah. That's a good point of doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
But if you're not in that age bracket and you've already been exposed to the content that it's based on, yeah, it's going to feel empty and like a half step.
you want to know what book I think might be better, though, in terms of dystopia?
What's that?
Ever heard of Brave New World?
Yes.
Love that book. It's probably my favorite dystopian novel.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're listening to this right now, Amazon right now has Brave New World for $10.34. Buy yourself a copy. It does you wonders.
Mm-hmm. If you're in the Kalamazoo area, it's also available at multiple libraries near you.
Oh shit! Go support your fucking library. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Give it a try. But $10 is actually not bad at all.
The Grand Rapids libraries that I've been to, because like they're
Mm.
all Kent District libraries up here.
Yeah.
They're incredibly neutered, and I hate it.
Yeah.
They're very much like readings for children kind of thing,
Mm.
because so many people here are business minded or whatever. So you
Yeah.
go into like the adult section, and there's like no classics. There's no like actual literature. It's like mainly self help books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that lends this, because the whole point of this newest Hunger Games film is that it is meant as sort of a prequel to the original Hunger Games series.
Oh my god, it's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Kind of a lot, actually, where it is taking, because in the Hunger Games, the president of the country is President Snow,
Yeah.
and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes takes place during the first Hunger Games, where he is like uh nowhere near the level of president, right? It's like 60 years before that or something, and it's meant to be sort of like an introduction to that world. And I think like this is the only like credence I can give to it, right? Justification for it existing, to not just be like in the way that Fantastic Beasts was, where it felt like they were retreading a lot of the same ground very quickly. The entire idea of the Hunger Games is born out of a means to stop this massive war that they were taking part in,
Okay.
as a way to end that. This is the way to keep everybody placated and happy in the wake of this massive war, so we stop killing each other. Is that we offer up, our literal sacrificial lambs to keep everybody placated and to decide who's the winner.
Because
And
there
then they
needs to
do
be
it year
winners
on
in
year.
life. There's always got to be winners in
Right.
life.
But taking it from that immediate post-war concept at least gives it something to explore if it chooses to.
Okay.
Whereas in the Hunger Games films, at least the books were, I think, better about not falling into this trap. But the films fell very quickly into the trap of just doing the Hunger Games 3 times in a row with some slight twists along the way. And it got boring because they were doing the same thing over and over again. This at least gives it an opportunity to try something else.
That's what I was
And we'll
afraid
we'll see
of.
if it does that.
Yeah. It's what I fear for the whole franchise, really, is
Yeah.
I don't want to see the same thing thrice.
Yep.
And I don't know how you can expand a story like The Hunger Games when the main draw of it is a death game.
Yep.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in the trailers, both Peter Dinklage and Jason Schwartzman look great in this as well. So
Okay.
I'm a bit eager to see if that holds up through the whole film. It just seems like they've been cast into very strong roles for their personalities, and that's kind of cool. Peter Dinklage, it's his shtick, right? He's the little guy with a huge presence,
Yeah.
and he is the current president of the country at this point. and he seems to play that role very well.
Peter Dinklage could probably run for president in real life. Wait, is he British?
Probably. I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah.
He's exceptionally charismatic, though.
Yeah. It's the beard,
He's
really.
American. Yes, it is.
Peter, I will be your campaign manager. Talk to
Mm,
me.
there's a problem.
What?
He was born in New Jersey.
I'm sorry, Peter.
We're gonna rebrand that. He was
I,
born in Jersey Shore.
you're fucking with me.
I'm not.
You're,
Jersey Shore, New Jersey, or also known as Morristown, New Jersey.
God damn it.
It's
Peter, we
unfortunate.
we will work around this, Peter. Call me.
But no, he's a fantastic actor. And the beard absolutely is a huge part of it.
Dude, like, I wish I had that beard, but I also like my long hair, so I can't really do that, so fuck.
Yeah. Last piece of little bit of film news that we had. Napoleon director Ridley Scott had a pretty fun interview with BBC's Katie Rizal.
Can we just have, like, fun interviews from now on?
I would like that.
Like, I'm really sick of, like, interviewers trying to start shit, like, when they got
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese to say Marvel movies aren't real movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, right? Because you had that, iconic, now iconic quote, and then Marvel movies just cratered after that.
Yeah, and it
It's
really
like,
doesn't feel like it was from their own. Well, it was from their own volition, but it also felt
right.
like
It's like Scorsese says that Marvel movies suck, and Marvel is doing everything possible to prove him right.
yeah. Now, Scorsese, I need you to say Corey's going to find $1 million.
So, talking about Napoleon,
Yes.
though, the couple of notable pieces that I thought we should bring up with this was his talking about film lengths, which is something we've been talking about for a long time, where films are getting to be too long. And Ridley Scott agrees, saying that in context of his film being 2 hours and 38 minutes long, he says that if a movie is longer than 3 hours, you get what he calls the bum ache factor at about 2 hours in, which is something that he very intentionally watches for as he's editing, where he doesn't want his films to be so long that you get to the 2 hour point, you have to use the bathroom, and you go, oh my God, there's another hour to go. Or, oh my God, we can't go and eat something for another hour and a half.
At that point, why not just release a second movie?
Right. Pretty much.
Yeah, you double your ticket sales, everybody goes home happy, and quite frankly, the bums of America will thank you.
Or write your movie to include an intermission,
That
like
too.
the good old days.
I think. So, have you ever seen Seven Samurai?
No, but it is. I literally have I have a list of like I should watch these movies at some point, and that is on the list.
It is honestly one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Intermission, though.
Yep.
Thank you, Kurosawa. Very cool.
Later on in the interview, they were talking about the less positive French reception to the film. How in British and American markets, the reviews have been generally favorable, but there were a couple of notable French critics who were not satisfied with the film. Le Figaro saying that the film could be renamed Barbie and Ken under the Empire, French GQ describing it as deeply clumsy, unnatural, and unintentionally funny. Napoleon biographer Patrice Guénefray of Le Point magazine saying it is very anti-French and very pro-British. To which Ridley Scott responds, "The French don't even like themselves. The audience that I showed it to in Paris, they loved it."
So, I just realized something. That's a 3-hour Napoleon movie, right?
Just about, yes.
I guess you can't accuse it of being short. Sorry, I'm sorry. I should have said that when we were doing our pre-show talk, but oh my god, that I could not let that fly past me another time.
skimming through the rest to make sure there's not anything else here. Apparently, he does his own storyboarding. That's kind of neat.
I respect that.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix talking about Ridley Scott, saying that he is a receptive director. Quote, he's figured everything out, and yet he's also able to spontaneously pivot when new ideas are suggested.
What are your opinions of Ridley Scott as a filmmaker?
I am appreciative of his works. He is clearly very talented, but I very often find myself enjoying uh, aspects of his film that are not explicitly direction, particularly like individual performances or the more fundamental writing that's happened, the underlying story. And it's interesting. Because we talked about this before the show, and um, going further into the article, they start and they talk more with Joaquin Phoenix. They talk more about Gladiator because Joaquin Phoenix was in Gladiator as well, which
Yeah.
didn't click for me as first, but he plays Commodus. And there is really exceptional filmmaking that Ridley Scott does, but I really do think it gets lost behind the even more exceptional individual performances, as you know, like Russell Crowe or uh, Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator. It's the individuals that are making that film be so powerful for what it is, and they're being elevated by the cinematography happening around them, but that's not the impression that you end up walking away with.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Apparently, they're going to the Ridley Scott's next project is Gladiator 2.
I saw someone do a poster of that, and it's NMF Doom as the Gladiator, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" I thought it was a joke, but now that I know that he's actually doing
Yeah.
Gladiator 2, I pray for the soul who did that.
Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe, Pedro Pascal. I feel like that just feels like such a meme. It's like Pedro Pascal is literally in everything now.
To be honest, I don't mind.
Yeah. I don't
Kind
either, but it's just kind of like it feels a bit wrong. I'm so happy for him to see him doing so well, but it just feels weird. It's
it's
like
like
we should not be we don't deserve this.
so it's that same thing with Tom Holland and then Jonathan
Mm-hmm.
Majors before the accident. Well, not the accident. The shit
Yeah.
hit the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's just Hollywood having a very hard time just not choosing an actor and going somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's also pretty in line with Hollywood's current ethos where you find a good thing and don't do anything else. You don't take risks.
Yeah, pretty much. I was watching a documentary. I don't remember what it was, but my girlfriend pretty much had it on in the room when I walked in, and I was just kind of watching it with her.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like these old Hollywood types just talking about like a generational divide that kind of hit Hollywood for a while,
Yeah.
and people were what's the word I'm looking for? They were talking about how you would see like it used to be like a blend of like MBAs and creative types behind a lot of that stuff because you pretty much need to be a little creative to do anything in Hollywood. And then
Yes.
over time, as more money became involved, a lot more MBAs would come in, and like all these people who they would say are more creative than they are business types, retired out of the business because, quite frankly, they were just getting sick of the culture that was permeating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see that a lot more now.
Yeah. There's a sad note to be put on Pedro Pascal's Wikipedia page. Under his acting credits section, he has a very, very brief little mention of music video credits.
Oh no!
And somebody actually went and put him down as a music video credit for Gal Gadot's Imagine.
Whew, that is rude.
It's very mean.
How do you think Gal Gadot feels about that?
I don't know. It was, you know, very misguided.
I love that that video happened and they never even agreed on a key.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the big thing. It's just like they clearly is just like everybody film yourself and send it to us and we'll stitch it together. And then it obviously didn't work.
Yeah, kind of their own fault, really.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's the gist of what I have for today, though.
Cool. Uh, Daft
did you
Punk.
hear?
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, did you hear that the CEO of Chat GPT got fired?
Did they replace him with an AI?
Not yet, but that would be on brand.
That would be fucking hilarious. You know, in fact, I'm issuing a challenge right now, Chat GPT people. What are they? OpenAI? Is that the name of the
Yeah.
company? Okay.
Yep.
OpenAI,
OpenAI.
if you truly believe you're putting out a good product, put your product in charge of the company. No balls.
It's interesting though because after he got I can't remember exactly his fire. Doesn't matter. In the wake of it, a number of developers for OpenAI have resigned as well, and we'll see what'll happen. But there's obviously a strong possibility of them forming their own company.
That'd be
People have
cool.
also been comparing it to Steve Jobs' cycle of employment where he was at Apple when it was founded, then he was removed from Apple and it kind of took a downturn, and then he got brought back on, and it's kind of what we know it is today. So we're on step two now.
To be fair, I don't like Steve Jobs though, so
Yeah.
could we just not
He
do it?
was objectively a horrible person.
Is there like a word for more concrete than objectively? Because like when I think of bad business people, Steve Jobs is like the first thing that comes to my mind.
Mm. Well, the thing for me is that he's not just a bad like business person; he's just a bad person.
I mean, I know more about how shitty of a businessman he was, but
Yeah,
I
all of it
don't.
carried over into his personal life.
I'm certain it did, but I never had the ability to articulate that.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. That being said, it does not surprise me that he was probably a shitty human being as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Daft Punk Random Access Memory Drumless Edition came out.
Yes, I am very excited.
I've listened to it.
The whole thing?
Yeah, I have a copy. In fact, I could go into the room and
Oh,
hit my microphone with my copy.
I'm waiting for it to pop up on YouTube. Maybe it is, and I just missed it.
I think the official page only put up like the first, well, two singles from it.
Yeah, they have Within and Motherboard
Yeah,
so far.
Motherboard
I'm sure
works really
more of
well
it'll
with
come
drumless.
later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Oh no, they do have it all. They just didn't post it to their main one. It looks like.
isn't that weird?
Is it? No, where did it get posted? Oh, weird. No, they do have some of them, and then some of them aren't. What? Very strange. So they did post them. They're just unlisted.
What?
Let me double check this.
Oh shit, we have
Oh
breaking
no,
news.
some of them are just uh from the original album uploads. But then they have Get Lucky, the drumless version, uploaded 3 days ago, but it's not on their YouTube page, their main YouTube channel, if you just look at their videos.
So it must be like through the topic thing when they release music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and my YouTube page is glitching out now.
You know, I've heard so many
Yeah, very
people
strange.
bitch and complain about this album as superfluous, which it kind of is.
No, of course.
And they say you can't listen to it, but I would argue it's very listenable if you think of it as classical music instead of dance music.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely not dance music, but
Yeah.
like Within is just a good on its own, a good like acoustic track.
Yeah. It's a very acoustic album without all that extra drumming.
Yeah, I like how it gives them the room to elevate other parts of the track that you couldn't, not necessarily couldn't hear as clearly, but that were, sort of obscured in the noise.
It's fun that you say that because I had a moment like that on my first listen through.
Mm-hmm.
And Beyond on the album, there is a guitar part in it that I never heard before. And
Mm-hmm.
like you can hear it clear as day without the drums. That I got my iPod out and pulled up the normal version of Beyond
Yeah.
and listened for it. It's there, but you could
Mm-hmm.
never like point it out with the drums there. Just devastated me because I was like, how did I never notice that? That's such a cool part.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as well, it's pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure they only
Yeah.
did it to try and get another Grammy.
Yeah, probably. I hope it works. They
Yeah,
deserve it.
they do. Rosalind Carter just died.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
She did get just moved into hospice a few weeks ago.
I'm a little sad because that
Yeah.
means Jimmy's next.
Yeah, I mean, she, like Jimmy, they've been around the block for a long time. And I will say, I heard a really good point, and we'll see what happens with Jimmy Carter at this point. But that would very much, be an understandable sort of like last straw type
Yeah,
thing. But I did hear that he, sort of jokingly saying that he may be trying to outlive the bacteria that he worked so hard to eradicate in Africa, where it's currently, it went from like millions of cases to now it's down to like double digit cases annually of it appearing, and it's been steeply dropping year by year even still, where it was like 13 cases in all of 2022 or something like that.
what a Chad.
Yeah.
Absolute bad ass. Well,
Let me see here because
this
I'm not
episode.
seeing any news on her yet. Let me see. There we go. So new it's not in Google.
Yeah, I know.
But they did announce earlier this week that she was being moved into hospice with Jimmy. So unfortunate, but not especially surprising, especially at 96.
96. Fuck. Could you imagine
Mhm.
being that old?
I hope to someday.
Like, good point.
But yeah,
I
yeah,
think our pea brain 20-year-old, well, 20 something bodies,
yeah,
it's physically impossible for us to comprehend being that old.
yep.
What age are you hoping to get to, Kyril?
I I have no plans of ever stopping.
That's my guy. Anything else to add to the show?
Just tell death that you don't consent and you legally can't die.
Holy fuck.
Doctors hate this one trick.
Doctors hate this one trick. Morticians hate that trick more, I assure you.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Call of Duty. What is it? Call of Duty like 20 something released, and it sucks. It's very funny.
In other words, water is wet. I'm Neve Miss Orion, and I'm going to live forever.
And I'm Cairo, and I'm a schmo, and I'm also going to live forever.
And if I fucking die next week, before the next episode, like dying on turkey or something like that, please interpret that as the funniest fucking thing ever. This has been the Two Schmo Show.